This week, we interview Glenn Loop from the CRA and Robbie Streitz from PDR Cigars. In the Debonair Ideal segment, we'll discuss those memorable cigar smoking moments, like the 4 times the Patriots won the Super Bowl. In the Stogies of the Week, I fight Chuck Norris not once, but twice, and Will get stuck in a Chinese finger trap. All that and more, so stay tuned. Broadcasting live from G-Unit Studios in Rhode Island, it's the show where cigars burn slow, ashes fall fast, and cocktails flow steady. It's the Stogie Geeks Show. Partagas, since its introduction in 2014, Partagas 1845 Extra Fuerte has won critical acclaim and a devoted legion of fans. Flawless construction and full-bodied flavor are the hallmarks of this rich, dimensional cigar that features prevalent notes of wood and coffee. Made with a unique blend spanning 3 continents, Partagas 1845 Extra Fuerte is the perfect choice for any cigar smoking occasion. The founder of Defiant Whiskey, Tim Ferriss, built the distillery, the company, and the brand organically in the mountains of western North Carolina, in between deep-sea commercial diving jobs. Tim will now explain a little bit about the spirit behind Defiant Whiskey.
These guys are masters. They're artisans. I wanted to learn how to do that. I wanted to learn how to make a spirit that people tasted was like, oh my God, that's incredible. You taste that quality, you taste that drive, you taste that passion. The minute they take a sip, the conversation's over and they're just going, that's incredible.
M. Bombay cigars represent the most admired cigar culture of Cuba. They select the best of the best quality tobacco to use in the aging process. M. Bombay cigars are then rolled in Costa Rica by some of the most experienced cigar rollers, giving it a unique smoking experience. The band portrays the detailed and artistic nature of our small industry. Try the M. Bombay Casera, M. Bombay Mora, and the recently released M. Bombay Habana. M. Bombay Cigars, where the cigar is a way of life. Hey, welcome everyone to the Stogie Geeks Show. I'm your host, Paul Asadorian. I am so excited to be here tonight, and despite of not watching the Patriots game, but I'm recording it, so don't tell me what's going on in the game, because I'm going to watch it later. Yeah, good luck with that, Paul, right? I have some very special guests here in the studio, but first I want to introduce Mr. Will Cooper on the lines via Skype from North Carolina. Welcome, Will.
Greetings, everybody.
What's going on, Will?
Oh, great day. It's a great night now.
It's great. You know, it's the start of football season. No matter what team you're a fan of, it's still a great day, even though you're not a Patriots fan. I mean, I guess it's less of a day if you're not a Patriots fan. But
all I got to say is turn down your sound so you don't have to hear that Chris Collins words and listen to the Stogie Geek Show.
Yes, exactly. There you go. That's at least we can say that we're better than Chris Collinsworth. Not that that's saying much.
Not saying much.
That's not saying much. No, at least we agree on that. Will.
Yeah.
Here in studio with me from PDR Cigars, Robbie Strites. Welcome, Robbie.
Thank you so much. It's an honor to be here with you guys.
You have like a radio voice. You have a radio background too.
I do. I
can see that.
I wouldn't say a radio background. I was never looking to get into radio. It's just something I did. I did a radio show for about 3.5, 4 years in Tampa.
We need to record all of our advertisements with your voice after the show. So stick around. Don't go anywhere.
That's going to cost you.
Yeah. We'll work something out. Jared Trudeau is here. Did I say that right?
You did.
Okay. Because I never call you by your last name, obviously.
No.
I've known Jared for a while now. Jared's a fellow member next door at the Havana Cigar Club. Also works in the cigar industry as well.
Plug.
Well, yeah, they're a sponsor, so we can plug them all we want.
Natural plug.
Yes, it's a natural plug. Imagine that.
Imagine.
So, Jared, it's great to have you here on the show. Jared's going to sit in on some more shows with us. We're very excited to have him here. So,
thank you very much.
It's really awesome.
To be here.
We're enjoying our PDR cigars.
Absolutely.
You were kind enough to give us the new Connecticut Valley Reserve, which
Yes.
I'm really enjoying. It's got a gorgeous wrapper on it. We're drinking Defiant whiskey. I poured Defiant whiskey for everyone. It just goes so awesome. You put it over a couple of cubes with a cigar. I enjoy it. I think it's really good.
I think it's great
I'm
too.
starting to see this stuff everywhere. Their national sales
Yeah.
manager must be doing a wonderful job, whoever he is.
And he's good looking too.
Yeah,
So.
yeah.
I don't know what.
So we're gonna interview Robbie for this show and learn a little more about PDR cigars. So Robbie, how did you get your start in cigar industry?
Well, I guess it would have been through the radio program.
What was your radio program?
Cigar Robbie Radio.
Excellent. And now, was it on traditional FM radio, or was it a podcast, or both?
AM, FM, and it was heard in 6 Southeast states, and we did an online show with it. And
when was that broadcast?
every Saturday from 12 to 2. They originally
What year?
2009 to 2012, something like that. Something like that. Late 2008.
Cool.
Yeah. It was really nice.
So did you work at a cigar store at the time, or were you just an enthusiast? Or
I was an enthusiast, and I did big promotions, big events with some of the big Tampa retailers. Tampa Humidor.
is that where you were based at the time? Was in
Yeah,
Tampa?
I live there now. I'm from Tampa.
And that's
I'm in
huge cigars. I don't think a lot of people outside of cigars realize how big of a cigar
Paul,
city
it's the
Tampa
Cigar
is.
City.
It is like the cigar
It's the cigar.
city. Yeah.
We even have a beer there named Cigar City.
Yeah.
So
I think
if
I've
you
had
question
that
it,
before.
it's there. There's no questioning.
That's
Cigar
awesome.
City. Yeah.
Yeah.
You knew that?
No.
No.
I'm just saying yes.
Okay.
You looked at me and nodded. You were very convincing, so I said yes.
Jared, I want to bring you in as much as I can.
I appreciate
I have a
that.
feeling he's going to consider you as like the Ed McMahon that just sits there and laughs. I want to bring you to the show. I want to
The
bring you
flying
in.
monkey, if you will.
We got to bring you
Isn't
in.
that what your last name means?
No, it means water hole.
Water hole.
Much,
okay.
much more cosmopolitan. Don't offend
Water
me.
hole.
Flying monkey in
Water
French is a really specific last name.
What were we talking about? So you live
yeah.
in Tampa. And
I
that's
live
what-
in Tampa.
You've lived in Tampa your whole life?
No, I'm originally from Southern California, and I
Okay.
moved to Tampa about 98, so I've been there,
Okay.
I don't know, 16 years?
Something like that.
Yeah.
And so that's where you got your start in cigars was, in
Yeah,
Tampa.
I started...
so what are the big shops in Tampa? Is there like retail? I mean, there's cigar manufacturers in Tampa, right? And then there's retailers as well.
Oh,
So
yeah,
what-
there's some really big
Great
retailers
ones,
in
yep.
Tampa. Cigar Castle, Tampa Humidors, Cigar Cave, and Jeff Borzowitz, who's going to bring a Davidoff Lounge cigar shop into
Nice.
South Tampa, which is going to be huge.
Sounds like the Stogie Geeks need to take a trip to Tampa.
Why wouldn't you?
It's a field
What?
trip.
Yeah, why would
What a
you?
great
Field
cigar
trip.
city.
Yeah.
Seriously.
I'm in.
It's Ybor. Ybor is the old Cuban area, just north of the city. And it's really where 70% of the cigars at the turn of last century were made for the world.
Wow.
They shipped all the Cuban tobacco to Ybor. They made the cigars there and then shipped that out to the rest of the world.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah,
so after your radio show, where did you worked for a couple different manufacturers?
So
correct?
after the radio show,
Wait, why'd you stop doing the radio show?
so here's the thing on the radio show. I really had no aspirations of radio. I found a social media guy who was going to help me out with the business in Tampa. He graduated USF. His name was Sammy Malakarjanan, who now lives in the Boston area and works for HubSpot. And he did a lot of the websites for people in the cigar industry. And I said, Ma, this kid's really sharp. I'd like to work with him someday. And he was doing the, it was a big online cigar company, and I don't want to say the name. Do I have to say the name?
You don't have to say the
Okay,
name.
so I'm not going to say the name. And they had a spot on the Tony Katz All Patriots Media radio program, nationally syndicated show. And he called me up and he said, you know more about cigars, which I really didn't, but he thought so. And he said, I'm actually writing the copy. I developed the segment for this Tony Katz show for this online company, but I need someone who will go on as a personality and talk about the cigars. And I said, no, I don't want to do it. And he said, okay. And he came back and he said, they'll pay you $150 a month. You can pick any cigar each week to talk about, and we'll ship you a box of those cigars each week. That sounds pretty good.
That's pretty
15
good.
minutes on a Friday night, I just talk about cigars.
You get $150 and a box of cigars.
Yeah, $150 for the month, which is not much, but then you got a box of
For
cigars.
months,
Whatever
yeah.
I chose, I could choose
Yeah.
whatever cigar, and they'd
Right.
send me a box. I said, yeah, I'm going to do that. So I did it, and I thought, this is going to last a couple weeks or whatever. And this Tony Katz and I, we just kind of hit it off. And eventually the radio station in Clearwater that broadcasted his show said, hey, we'd like you, it's broker radio, but we feel you get us some sponsors in this, and we can do a show to go up against Cigar Dave. I said, no way. What, me, little guy's going to go up against Cigar Dave? So they came back to me, and I said, look, I'll do it if we go 2 hours before Cigar Dave or 2 hours after Cigar Dave.
Right.
So we developed the program. We went on right after the Cigar Dave show for 2 hours. And we did it. We did it for a couple of years, and we had 10 sponsors at one time. And
Wow.
it was a good show. We had 6 Southeast states. I loved doing it. But when I struck the deal with Esteban Carreras to become their national sales manager, Craig Cunningham, the owner, actually said, you can still do the show. And I felt, the time has run its course. And if I do something, I do it 110%. Kind of like Tom Brady. Not like Eli Manning, but like Tom Brady.
like
right?
Tom
I go
Brady.
right into it.
Like
right?
all four.
Yeah,
Like
all fours go at it. So that's what I did. And so,
Uno,
look
baby.
at, he's holding up a Giants hat.
Beat us.
Boo.
San Francisco Giants. I wonder, how are they doing this year?
This is America's team.
Yeah. No,
I don't think so.
no.
That's New York's team.
So that kind of made my career in this industry, especially at that level. And, actually, when I met Will, I was at Esteban Carreras, and we had a great relationship with those guys at Outland, and it was good times back then, Will.
Yeah, I mean it's hard to believe. It's 3 or 4 years at least. It just seems like it was yesterday.
It really does.
I hear what you're saying, though. Like, sometimes the show runs its course. I've had smaller shows that have gone through the same thing. Like, they ran their course, and you move on. So,
Yeah. The
and
show
so
didn't
You worked
stop.
for Esteban Carreras for a while?
About 3 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then you were at AJ Fernandez for a while?
Yes, sir.
And now you're at PDR Cigars.
Well, here I am.
And it all
now
comes
here you
full
are.
circle.
It all
My
comes full circle.
Cigar manufacturer du jour. That's where I'm at now.
So no, we were talking before the show, Robbie, and I was saying, when you say PDR Cigars, I think of Pinar del Rio, right? Now that name resonates with me, right? Because it's an growing
Yeah.
area in Cuba.
Yeah.
It's a popular brand that
Yeah.
I recognize as Pinar del Rio Cigars.
Yeah,
and
sure.
you kind of corrected me and said, well, they're separate, same. What's the deal with PDR? Pinar del Rio? A lot of our listeners are like, oh yeah, I know Pinar del Rio.
Pinar del Rio, PDR, has been around 16 years in this industry. The last 11 years is under the tutelage. That's a big word.
Huge.
That's a good
Yeah,
word.
it is.
I like that.
I was
I'm into
almost
it.
afraid
I'm
to
into
say it because I thought I'd screw it up, but
No, that was spot on.
of Abe Flores.
Right.
And when Abe got into the organization, he came in as a primary, but not in a visionary role where he's at now. As they saw the strength in Abe Flores and what he could do to impact the market, he started to take more control. And he bought out some of the other owners. And now we've rebranded as
I didn't know
PDR.
that. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
So now Pinar del Rio, you said was exclusive to. It's still exclusive to Cigars International.
Yeah, it's Pinar del Rio is a line that we make as a private label for somebody else, and we focused our brands on our core line and our premium, which is all under the PDR Cigars or Abe Flores.
I got you.
yeah.
Excellent.
He's good. He makes it seem like he's interested. Will, you don't do that. I know you don't do that.
I'm always interested.
So now, do we want to start talking about the cigars? Do you want to talk more about the history of the company? I feel like I want more history of the company.
Oh,
like,
geez.
how did Abe Flores come into cigars? I'm assuming you work with Abe. You met Abe.
So I really didn't know Abe, and then when I knew I was winding down at AJ Fernandez, I actually talked to Abe Flores. And we talked for a while, and it just wasn't the right time. And then it was about 5-6 months later, we spoke again. And, you know, the thing he said, I've never met you, so I want you to come down to the DR. I got to meet you. I got to have a feel for someone I'm going to bring into this role. And I flew down there. And there's just a lot of similarities between he and I. We're different in a lot of respects, but we do have a lot of similarities. We just kind of clicked. And so, you know.
I find cigars is very personal kind of business like that. Like the industry is just very much about those kind of personal relationships. I really respect that about the industry.
Well, it's a passionate industry.
And it's funny when you say that like, you know, you talked and then 5-6 months later you decided, well, we'll talk again. And that's really my day job today, dude. That's exactly what happened.
That's what happens?
I talked to the founder of the company and it was like, it's just not the right time. Then a few months later we talked and then I ended up coming to work for him. So that's, that's really cool.
I was doing an event in Melbourne, Florida, a cigar event. And I get this text, and it's from Abe, and I hadn't spoke to him in 5-6 months, and it said, "Are you ready to come on board yet?" I said, "Well, the last conversation didn't go so well." So my
Did I
thought was,
misread the situation?
and it's 5-6 months ago, so I thought to myself, this is meant for somebody else. So I texted him back. I said, "Do you know who this is?"
That's funny.
That's operating with the utmost confidence.
If you know Abe Flores, he's like, "Yeah. Do you know who this is?" That was his reply back. I'm like,
so now, for our listeners, where's the factory, and where did you visit Abe, and where are the factories located?
Tamboril, Dominican Republic. And we have a 70,000 square foot facility down there.
Wow.
We're vertically integrated. Well, you and I have probably talked about this term a lot. Vertically integrated in the last couple of years has always meant that you do seed to box, right?
Yeah.
We're vertically integrating ourselves, which the end piece that everybody in this industry seems to neglect is distribution to marketplace.
Yes.
That's where the focus is starting to become. You've seen so many other manufacturers struggle to do this in the last couple of years, to go in-house with their reps, get that core representation. And,
So
well,
seed
you
really
know that
like-
just as well as anybody else.
Seed to distribution. In other
Seed.
words.
Now, that's my new term for vertically integrated. Seed to distribution. Yeah.
Yeah, and you know, Robbie, it's a really good point because I remember when the PDR 1878 series came out. This has got to be 2010, 2011, and they were fantastic cigars. And I just remember talking to people in other parts of the country saying, "I can't get these cigars."
Yeah.
You know, so there was certain markets that obviously the company was penetrating in, but there were other areas they weren't. And we see that with a lot of newer cigar companies.
And they'll all pick different areas to focus on, too.
They absolutely do. And usually a small company, like when I was with Esteban, we had 3 to 4 reps to cover the whole country. That's a lot.
Yeah.
We now have 9, going to be 10. And, you know, we're making that shift in-house, and that's important for us.
Robbie, what's your role in the company? So
I'm the national sales manager
for the U.S.
for the U.S.
Okay. Do you distribute internationally as well, or do you focus more on just in
We
the
are
US?
starting with international distribution. That's
for you.
correct, yeah.
Cool. Now, when you went down to the factory, did you visit the farms? Did you get a chance to roll cigars? Like, did you get your roll up your sleeves?
You know, I call these tours. We've done these tours for years in this industry, and I call it the timeshare program, right? If you bring a tour down to 15 guys or 8 guys, they come down, and you're going to work them for 8 hours for those 3 days. They're going to farm, they're going to factory, they're going to the field, which we call the money shot, right? You got to get them in the field by the tobacco, sniffing a leaf.
There's that iconic picture of the Fuentes in the field, right? And they use that in a lot of their marketing.
Fuentes in the field, Rocky in a $3,500 suit in the field. You know,
With the helicopter in the background.
Rocky, I'm sorry. I mean, it's great. I didn't mean to say that. You look great in a $3,500 suit in the field. I don't know what. Hell of a dry cleaner.
It's warm.
Yeah.
It's warm in those fields, especially in the
I
suit.
bet.
Especially in the suit.
I feel like we're running away with the format of this show.
No,
let's get back on track.
You're not answering my question, which is totally fine. You've mastered the art of media.
I'm a politician by trade. Yeah.
I get that. You've had media training. I
That's
can
right.
always tell the people that have had media training because they answer the question, but they don't answer the question.
Okay, so let's get back to so we go to the fields. I didn't go to the fields because one of the things that we do, and we talked about this, Abe and I, we've talked about this a lot. The least part of this industry is the growing of the tobacco. You're looking at me like I'm crazy. You're looking at me like I'm crazy.
No,
that's
I
really
have a poker face on.
That's the really least part of this whole thing. You grow tobacco, and the farmers grow the tobacco. And you co-op, or you have your own fields, or you say you have your own fields, whatever it may be. The key point of this, Paul, is you must know how to, Jared, Paul, Will, process the tobacco.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's processing. That's where everything in this industry, if you're vertically integrated, starts with the process of the tobacco. If you do that correctly, if you do that right, if you do it better than the other guy, that's where you're going to get the better cigar.
You know, Robbie, it's a great point. When I pick up a cigar that I haven't smoked before, and a lot of things, and Will does this to me. We review tons of cigars. Jared and I were just joking before the show. Will, I've got like 2 gigantic bags of cigars to review.
It's
right?
insane.
But when you start reviewing cigars, right, you get to know like, well, this cigar is kind of young, and I think that speaks exactly to what you're saying about processing, right?
Yep.
Yeah, it's. I'll give you an example without naming names. If you have a guy that is a blender that has his factory and it's small, and he has to buy bales of tobacco to produce the cigars, he's either going to spend too much money for the bale of tobacco if it's processed right, or he's going to buy stuff that is subpar on the marketplace, and it's not that great of a cigar.
Yeah.
And also, you got your time to age, too. I mean,
That's the process.
business is like inventory is evil, and so the longer you sit on that inventory, that's less time you have to actually sell it. So
Yeah, but
it's a problem.
that's really that's what you guys are looking for, right? You're an end consumer, right? And you're looking for that quality product. But if we release it to you too early, it's not going to be what you're looking for.
Yeah, I mean, you might have a better shot with people like Will and I, because we'll sit on cigars. We'll recognize when it's young, and we'll sit on them. Your average consumer,
Nope, they don't give you another chance.
Yeah,
after
they
that.
don't. Exactly what Will said. You got one chance, and if you don't make that first impression, like forget about it.
And to even get them off of what they usually smoke and onto
Yes.
something new, it takes an act of God.
It's got to smoke awesome the first time.
It's got to smoke
Yeah.
awesome the first time and stand on its own. You know?
Will, because I know you're a professional, I'm going to ask you this question. I want you to be honest with me.
I love it when the interviewee turns questions back on us.
Usually
I love
that's-
it.
that's doomsday for me.
How does that happen? I guess it's my nature. I guess
You got to
it's
be
my
ready
nature.
for that, Will.
You got to
He's
be
putting you on the
ready,
spot, Will.
Hey, Cigar Robbie, yeah.
Will. All right. Will, one of your you can't say PDR, and you can't say Padron.
Right.
What's one of your favorite cigars right now that you smoke, that you really like, you think it's just a phenomenal stick? And I'm with PDR. I'm going to give a plug to some other guy out there. This is the kind of guy I am. What do you got, Will? Tell me.
Avo.
Oh, well, Avo. That's, well, okay.
Davidoff. And Davidoff.
And Davidoff. Okay.
Yep. Was that what you want? Well.
Well, here's the thing. I was looking. I thought you were going to say something like Robert Caldwell or Roma Craft but Avo and Davidoff is good.
Yeah.
Right? And so Avo is made by someone who's vertically integrated, and you get that quality and you get that consistency year after year.
I never have to worry, Robbie, about tobacco that's not fermented enough, young. I mean, it's occasionally maybe young, but not under fermented. And I know that there's consistency in the quality of the product. So I'm going to go back to those cigars. And you mentioned people like Caldwell, Roma Craft, great cigars.
They are great.
They are great cigars. Roma Craft's doing some amazing stuff for a small company too. But there's a long track record with Davidoff, and Skip's going to probably get mad at me for saying, but Skip's doing a great job. I think he had one of the best years a factory had last year. So
Skip is a remarkable individual. They produce a great cigar. and I'm not singling out Skip and Robert. It's just there. Sometimes smaller companies like that will struggle to keep that consistency.
It's very hard.
We struggle with it at times, and you look how vertically integrated we are.
Yeah.
I mean, and there's struggles there.
Robbie, tell us about the cigar we're smoking now.
So this cigar is you picked up the wrapper. You're really good. I'm telling you, you're good. What did you tell me the wrapper was?
I know how to fake it. No, I read the secondary band and it said Connecticut. It said
Take your lumps, man. Take some credit, Paul. He looked at it and knew it was CBL.
Usually he doesn't look at the band.
so.
He doesn't know.
My background is computer security, right?
I set him up.
You did.
Hey, they don't knock
He
him
handed
down.
it right
So
back.
give away one of my secrets, right? My background is computer security, right?
Yeah.
So we do a lot of social engineering,
Yeah.
right? So I know how to pick up on different cues, and I read
What the hell,
the band.
social engineering? What the hell is
You
that?
know I don't speak Spanish, Paul.
So the band said Connecticut Valley Reserve, and I looked at it. It's a nice dark, and I would surmise that it's a Connecticut. And I asked Robbie, I said, so this is a Connecticut shade grown in Connecticut you put in the cigar? And he said,
That's
yeah,
right.
absolutely.
Yeah.
But that's only because I read the band.
Okay, so it is a Connecticut broadleaf, and we use 2 binders on it because to get that combustibility with this wrapper is tricky. And
hardy.
so, the reason for this cigar is
Especially in the summer when it's 100% humidity, like it's been the past couple of weeks here in New England.
Yeah.
I've noticed a serious problem with some of my cigars, and it's just hard because it's so humid.
Especially
out.
smoking outside is like a disaster. The cigars
Even
don't
smoking inside. I mean,
Yeah.
when you order them, or you're carrying them around or whatever. I mean, they're like a sponge.
Can we
dude.
get the money shot on that? Can they do a close up on that?
We don't have a camera for a close up. Sometimes we do. We
Okay.
don't.
All right,
We'll
just
take
asking.
a picture of it
All right.
as well.
I just, you got to ask. This is going to be our seasonal blend that will come out every year in November. We're going to create that urgency on this cigar because it's going to be a limited release. We're only going to do 400 boxes per each.
But you'll come
size.
out with it every year.
Every year.
That's it. That kind of borrows from the beer industry, right? Where they have seasonal beers, so they're limited, but in that time of year. I like that.
Yeah.
I like that.
Well, we're doing this because so if you create something limited to the marketplace, you're creating a buzz for sure. You're trying to get a frenzy to that product. Mm-hmm. And then you're going to offer an exclusivity to certain people that have honed the relationship with you on this cigar. Mm-hmm. So there's going to be limited retailers that will be able to get this cigar. And I think that's powerful for us. I really do. Because in a sense, what'll happen is they'll come in looking for this cigar, and if they can't get it, they may go to something else we have. Mm-hmm. Right. Does that make sense?
Is this limited to brick and mortar retailers?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are all PDR branded cigars limited to, or just
Well,
this,
I mean,
just certain
I
lines?
shouldn't say limited to just brick and mortar. There's going to be other avenues that have it. It's always going to be at the suggested retail price.
Okay, so you price protected.
Yeah, price protected. But we are going to limit to certain people that can only buy so much of that product.
I got you.
Because we really want this to be a cigar for the people at Christmas time. That's what we're doing.
Is there any method to the madness in releasing it at this time of year? Like, do you find your palate changes as the season changes? Because I kind of do.
Yeah, no,
I
that's a good
kinda
point,
do.
Jared. Yeah.
That is actually a really good point. And I never really thought of that.
Yeah.
And damn, I always think I think of everything, but
Yeah,
I
no,
don't.
Well, I think this is a beautiful fourth quarter smoke. People are,
Look at you,
people
fourth
jump
quarter
into-
football season.
It's the start of that was.
You know how many quarters there are? There are 4 quarters, which happens to be how many Super Bowl rings the New England Patriots have. I'm just saying 4. That would be 4. That would be 4
which
of those.
is twice as many as 2.
No, but I find in the winter
2-0. Wait, we won 4.
Only 2 other quarterbacks have won 4 Super Bowls. Can you name them?
Joe Montana.
1.
Terry Bradshaw.
Oh, there you go. So we got them all.
Good job, guys.
Yeah.
Good football
Yeah.
trivia.
Yeah, that's teamwork, Will.
Yeah.
That is
There you go.
Notice neither of those players played for the Giants. Just saying.
Because nobody at the
How
Giants
many
has won
Super
4
Bowls have
Super
the
Bowls.
Patriots beat the Giants in? 0.
But I'm saying it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
No, that's the one thing.
How many Giants teams have had an undefeated season, Will? Okay.
Moving right.
That was some great camera work. They immediately cut away from Will. You could tell this is a home field advantage.
It's a home field advantage,
This
baby.
is home field advantage.
But you know what, Will?
On behalf of the Stogie Geeks, I apologize.
The poor Giants. I mean, they're a great run organization. And I have no allegiance to the Patriots. I'm from California in Tampa. But we have to, I mean, this is a dynasty. I mean,
Absolutely.
absolute dynasty. A dynasty better than probably the Cowboys dynasty. A better dynasty than the San Francisco 49ers. A better dynasty than Green Bay Packers. This is something that we have never seen before.
Yeah.
You got to
But
pay
as I
homage.
listen to local sports radio and read, it's really that they've been focusing on the combination of the owner, the coach, and the quarterback, and it's just that combination is just unreal.
Yeah.
Unreal.
Everyone talks Montana, right? And Walsh, but 15-year run with Brady and Belichick. That is 15 years we're talking about, and that's an amazing run. All kidding aside.
Let me tell you something. Brady, in the last 4 or 5 years, has done it with a decimated team where they've stacked the deck for Peyton Manning in every one of his teams, and he still has only won 1. And that's who he is compared against right now in his realm is Peyton Manning, and he has obliterated that guy. He really has.
Not even close.
Anyway,
back to
go
cigars.
back to cigar. So you said there was a double binder in this cigar.
Double binder.
What's the tobacco in the double binder?
So we use a Habano Dominican for the binder on that cigar.
And the filler, excuse me.
So the filler, because this is something that's special for us, is we're not really releasing and talk about that.
Okay, that's fair.
And we do have a special process on that cigar that's only indicative of PDR that we're not going to talk about either.
How many lines do you have?
And I don't even know what it is.
How many lines do you at in PDR cigars?
So we have, excluding this as a seasonal, we have 9.
Okay, I've got a few here. I mean, you can tell me.
Can't you take the cellophane off those?
So you know what happens, Robbie? I'm not a big fan of cellophane for aging reasons, right?
Yeah.
I agree. I like the cigar to breathe and all that stuff. As many cigars that come in and out of my humidor at any given time during the week, they will get damaged if they're not in cellophane. So
I
I would
understand
rather have them not damaged than smoke a little better and benefit from not being in the cellophane. But I totally hear you. I've tried taking my cigars out of cellophane, and every time there's a crack in the wrapper, and you guys know, and Will too, right? If you've got 1,000 cigars in your humidor and you go to smoke one and you pick one up and it's got a crack in the wrapper, what are you going to do? You're going to go smoke something else, right? So and we review a ton of cigars on the show, so I don't want to do that to people.
I hate doing that too with the cellophane, but
I know.
we do. It's a necessary evil.
When I used to buy cigars, I'd smoke it right down to the nub and cherish every second of it. When I got the radio show, then cigars started coming in all the time. I'd take 2 puffs. This one bores me.
Yeah.
So throw it away, right?
It happens. It happens.
I think cellophane is single-handedly responsible for some of the best humidor moments in the history of humidor moments, where a customer, and I know you've seen this, Robbie, customer will say, I bet I'm a real aficionado. I bet I can tell you what the wrapper of this cigar is. And they pick it up and they say, Jared, what do you think? Is this Nicaraguan? And I say, no, sir, that's cellophane. It's a porous plastic material devoid of all scent characteristics. But the wrapper is from Brazil.
I have the
10th anniversary.
Now you guys have the
love this
Connecticut.
cigar.
I'm not holding the Connecticut, but you guys have a Connecticut in this line too, which I haven't smoked yet.
Yeah, if you can't see what he's holding up for you viewing at home, and that's our 10th anniversary.
I don't know if I can hold
He's
them up for
holding
the
up the
other camera.
1878
We
small
can cut
batch.
to camera 3.
I got it on my camera, the 10th anniversary.
10th
Yeah, I
anniversary.
don't know if you can see what I'm
Which
holding
Robbie,
up here.
I think is the most. I hate using the word, but it really is the most Cuban-esque in the PR line. It just has that Cuban-esque taste to it.
So all those cigars have been blended to be like a Cuban cigar by Abe. Not the fact that the band looks a lot like a Ramon Elones, but the two Robusto and the Toro are supposed to be like a Bejique.
Is this one right here is what you're saying? Is
No, so you had
AFR.
the other one up before, which is the 1878, which is this is our workhorse and our core brand. This one right here.
Yes.
That's the 1878. So that
Okay.
the blend on that, we have it in 4 different wrappers. Is a 98 Criollo binder and filler. Mm-hmm. That one is the Oscuro.
Nice pigtail cap on that one, too.
It's a very nice pigtail cap. And we have another nice pigtail cap on our San Andreas Maduro. That's our AFR 75, which happens to be my favorite cigar.
I love that cigar too.
I do. I love it. Yeah. It's amazing. We have one natural or Ecuadorian Connecticut in the 1878. And then we have a Cubra, which is a Cuban seed Brazilian grown Maduro. So, the thing with Abe is, I talk about this with the sales guys. Mm-hmm. We talk about it in our sales pitch to the marketplace, which is the retailers. I think we make some of the best cigars price value. We also do probably the best marketing in the industry. Not to disparage anybody else, but we've learned from some of the others. And not that we copy anybody, because our packaging is very Cuban-esque. Mm-hmm. It's classic Cuban-esque, And what I like about it is you can have someone walk into a cigar shop. He could be a intermediate, novice, or an aficionado. He may not know PDR, but he will be drawn to our packaging because of that Cuban style.
Mm-hmm. That's interesting.
Right? So...
And now you can get Cuban cigars legally now, right?
Oh gosh.
How many times? How
one.
many cigar shops do you go in, and how many times do you guys get asked
Every customer in the world thinks that they're being original by saying, "Hey, when are we going to get Cuban cigars?" It's
Well,
like,
they-
I don't know.
a lot
Let
of
me
people
text
think-
Castro.
But a lot of people think that the embargo has been lifted.
I know,
When I talk
that's
to like casual cigar smokers, non-cigar smokers, are like,
Yeah.
"Oh, well, Cubans are legal now, right?"
No.
I'll
And
be in
I'm
a
telling
cigar
you, you're
shop
not-
in Miami, and a guy will walk in and he'll say, "Where are the Cubans?" And I'll usually look around. The guy behind the counter, he's Cuban.
Yeah.
That guy over there sitting
he's
there,
Cuban.
he's Cuban.
Yeah.
But there's no Cuban cigars here.
And it's tough to explain to customers why we
is.
won't see Cubans for a little bit. It's like,
For a long
the
time.
United States cigar market is bigger than every other cigar market, like, combined, know? So by the time Cuba develops the infrastructure and all that stuff, I mean, they say that Cuban cigars they're made traditionally. They're wrapped in banana leaves. The bun. It's like that's because they don't have burlap. It's not like because they're super artisans. So it's going to take some time. But we hands down we get that question asked every day.
Every day.
Every day.
Yeah, and I think
I
we
get
talked.
sick of it.
Yeah, I think we talked a few weeks ago about this when Mike was on the show. I firmly believe we're not going to see these in every store. I think it's going to be an appointed merchant model too. They're going to
sure.
go.
It's going to have to be.
Look,
Yeah.
because we get this so much, and I try to dispel the guys that are asking for Cubans that think the Cubans is the end-all, be-all of cigars. I don't want to burst bubbles. I don't want to disparage another country, especially poor people that are just trying to make a living, the whole 9 yards. But he exiled all the knowledge out of that country.
Oh yeah.
He never put a dime back into it. Everything they have is old and antiquated and just outdated. Plus, they're in the path of every hurricane that comes up through that area. So they don't spray their crops. So if they grow...
They don't rotate the fields.
They don't rotate the fields.
Yeah.
If they grow 20 acres of tobacco, they may yield 10.
Exactly.
And then they can't fill the world market anyway. And I know, and someone's probably going to yell at me for this because I'm going to say this, but when you go to some of the processing centers in Central America, you see bales of tobacco that say Destination Havana. Mm-hmm. So we know that there's other tobaccos going into Cuban products that they don't claim and say.
Yeah.
Now, having said that, I've smoked some really awesome cigars from all different countries, Cuba included. Mm-hmm. I smoked some really bad cigars from all countries.
Sure.
Cuba included.
Yeah.
Right. And so it's not to say any one, the country of origin is a factor in it.
But it's processing, like
it's
Robbie
not.
was
Yeah,
saying.
it's not the only factor in it. I smoked some freaking awesome Cuban cigars. I smoked some awesome cigars that have Nicaraguan, Dominican tobacco in them too.
Sure.
So I think people in the U.S. have this like stigma that the country of origin is the defining factor for whether a cigar is good or bad or like completely awesome, and that's just not true.
Paul, let me ask you this. Your family was exiled from Cuba. They lost everything. They were millionaires in Cuba. They were raped and pillaged of their land, their product, all their equipment. When that embargo totally lifts, do you think those people are going to be quiet? Hell no, this is going to go into litigation. I'm 47. Anybody close to my age here? No.
Me.
Okay. Will and I, you and I,
We're the same age. We're the same age.
You and I will probably never see Cuban cigars sold legally on this continent.
It'll be a long time.
But I should not continent. It's sold in Canada, in this country.
It's gonna be a long time. It's not gonna. Yeah.
I think you may, but I think it's gonna be a long time.
It's going to be a long.
It's gonna be a long time.
You really are saying that I'm going to live for a long time. You don't know what I got going on over here. I'm saying they're not going to see it. I'm not going to see it.
And the sort of untold story
You
is
will.
The Cuban people, they don't necessarily like the fact that the embargo's been lifted because it's the United States incentivizing a government that's communistic
Right.
and has oppressed them for generations and generations.
The Cuban people in Cuba are probably saying yes, anything to get us something because we're starving. We need money. We need something. This is oppressive. But the Cuban nationals here are like, look it, when you did that, all you did, what do you think? The money that American goes down there and buys a Cuban cigar, that's going to go to the Cuban people?
No.
It goes to the government.
It goes to the government.
Absolutely.
No, they make $30 a month rolling Cuban cigars, and they know that what they make 250 of a day, which is like an average roller's production, what they make 250 of a day, each one sells for $30. So they don't have to be experts at math, but they know that somewhere along the line they're getting screwed.
And not all the time either. I mean, I think there's this stigma that Cuban cigars are really expensive, and that it varies so greatly.
Oh,
but
yeah.
still, you're right. When you do the math overall and average it out, But again, I come back to I smoked some awesome Cuban cigars, but I've smoked some awesome cigars from all kinds of different countries, even some ones that aren't like known for Costa Rican cigars, Brazilian tobacco. The wonderful part about the situation we're in now is that there are a lot of different countries, the U.S. included, producing awesome tobacco.
Yeah.
And I think it's the ability of the blender to blend those together. And, like you said, the processing of those cigars and all those other factors that go into making a great cigar.
Absolutely.
Construction included in that, too.
Oh, yeah.
I agree. I totally agree.
And this cigar, construction-wise, is awesome.
So we do.
And I don't know if you've listened to the show before, Robbie, but if I pick one cigar out of a box, it will be the one that it does not burn well. We call this Paul syndrome. So the fact that I picked the one
that's burning
great is amazing. It speaks to your construction.
Because
More
if
than
there is
anything else,
one that is messed up,
Paul
it is
can
Paul's.
pick one and it smokes good. That's QA right there.
Yeah.
Do you guys know the process we use? And so you have a couple different processes as you roll a cigar, you're bunching it. So you have piano fold, you have bunching, and then we have what we call entubado.
Right.
And so we use a Lieberman, and it's essentially that you're getting the best quality draw that you can out of a cigar. Then we have 4 points how we check a cigar to make sure that
You can't just rely on the machine.
No.
Yeah, and I hate when I hear machine because people say machine roll. No. It's just
The draw tester is the machine, but you can't rely on that for everything.
Yeah. So and there's ways you can bypass the machine. So you have to have quality checkers that check the machine. People running the machine, and it's. Abe is very detail orientated. He's a master at this. And when you come to our factory, which I think we talked about doing the show maybe down at the factory at one time, didn't we?
We have. We've talked about possibly a game day type thing, right?
Yeah. Did you tell Paul about that? And
I'm pretty sure we mentioned it.
If you
So
want
we'd
to
set
fly
up
me
like a
somewhere to
game
go
day?
smoke cigars, I'm in.
Right in the factory,
I
while
haven't
they're
been to
rolling
the
behind
DR.
us, we set up the game day, like the game day
Yeah.
stand, and we
Nice.
talk. Yeah. I like that. I really like that. I think that would be a good idea.
I think we can make that happen.
Okay, let's do it.
Sure.
So
You bring in Ed McMahon?
yeah,
I don't want this stigma to start on like the first show. It's like
the first show, dude,
the
you got
first show.
labeled.
I'm Ed McMahon for the rest of eternity. Appreciate it.
This is a good find, though.
Absolutely,
Yeah,
absolutely.
you bring in those comments right when they're needed, and they're
appreciate it.
quick and they're quippy.
We got to do Karnak, maybe.
Oh my God! Remember Carney?
Oh, my God.
Only you and I are old enough to know
Love to
that.
remember Karnak.
Yeah.
That
Look at they're
no one-
looking at it like they don't know what the hell.
no
idea.
We're on Jared and
Carson.
Paul Island. Population Jared and Paul.
when he. Oh,
We got. So how close are we in age?
Us?
Yeah,
Probably not that close.
probably not that.
No.
You're probably younger than I am.
Yeah.
29, 34.
You're not in your 20s, are you? Oh, really?
Yeah.
29, 34.
No, I'm old. No, I'm old. I'm 38.
Yeah, okay.
You're
I'm
not
approaching-
supposed to agree.
Will, how
He's
old
like,
are you?
yeah, that's terrible.
47.
47? I'm
Yep.
47.
Yep, we're the same age.
What month?
December.
Oh, April.
Oh, when
so
in
you got-
April?
19th.
Oh, I'm the 4th.
How about that? How about that?
Not cigar related, but nonetheless.
I'm glad we got all that out there, though.
That's good.
Robbie,
important.
these guys probably don't even know the Dean Martin roast. I mean, I've been watching those all week.
Well,
Drunken
I
roasts
know
are
they do because
transcend
they stay up
generations.
late at night and they see it on TV, right? The Dean Martin
Oh,
roast.
No,
no one-
I watch like nerd television late at night.
Or television.
This week in tech.
Pretty much. So, Will, did you have questions for Robbie?
Yeah.
I know
Yeah,
sometimes, a lot of times during the interview, I'll ask you that. This interview, I've been kind of.
This
I've
portion
been-
of the show,
I've been
question
yeah, I've
the
been letting
host
Robbie
by-
just kind of engage you, but we're running a little short on time because I want to ask Robbie the 5 questions too. So
Yeah, I got one just to ask. So we didn't talk about the cigar, but I think it's a key one to talk about. So this past year, you guys got your first top 10 rating with the A Flores.
Look at you. Thank you for bringing that up. Thank
Yep.
you.
Yeah. So I mean, and Abe's had he's had top 10s he's made before, but this was the first one with his name on it.
That's right. Series Privada. We do that in 2 wrappers. It's a Habano and a Maduro. We did get the number 10 cigar in Cigar Aficionado in 2014 with the Robusto, which is
That's-
our SP52.
Took it out and put it back in there.
And when you smoke that cigar, Will, and I'm assuming you've smoked it. You're
Yes.
showing me one. Tell me what flavors you get out of that cigar.
Like a lot of nice nutty sweetness.
Mm-hmm.
A little spice on it.
Yeah, a little indicative of when Abe's blending a cigar, and maybe you guys have heard this, maybe you haven't. A lot of blenders will take a wrapper and then they're trying to blend to that.
sorry,
The money shot? They score?
No,
My
Patriots
phone's
scored a
been
touchdown.
vibrating this whole
Yeah.
time, and I'm like, what's going on?
Brady got hurt.
Oh, shut up.
Oh, stop.
No,
We were
don't
trying to
do that.
conduct an interview here.
Sorry.
like, hey,
4 minutes ago.
And it's 7-0 then?
Yeah, it's 7-0. Yeah.
Okay. It's about to explode. It's going to be like
Robbie, I'm sorry. We were
20-0.
only talking about your top 10 cigars.
I know. Well, so what we did. So what was I saying, Jaron? Do
You were
remember?
saying, you were asking Will what the flavors he gets.
So, and he gave me some flavor
He
notes
sure did.
back. And damn,
Yeah, they were good flavor notes. Nutty sweetness, stuff like that.
I lost
I'm
what I
trying
was
here.
saying.
Ed McMahon has your back, Robbie. Despite you not having mine, I have your back.
Ed
What do you mean
McMahon.
now? I gave you your moniker.
I don't want that moniker.
You quantified the Ed. You backed up the Ed McMahon thing,
So-
dude. It's
You know what
totally
I'm
done.
not used to in this whole thing? When you're on the radio, every 11 and a half minutes you're going to a commercial break.
Right.
And this is nice because you got free form.
Our commercial breaks just show up on the TV behind us.
I
so
love that.
Yes.
I mean, that's excellent. So SP52, we get the number 10. We designed that cigar, and you look at it. I know what I was talking about. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. You prompted
It's just
me.
my
You
helpful
prompted me.
demeanor
It is.
inspired you.
So we're talking about blenders and how they create cigars. And blenders usually take a wrapper, and then they're trying to look for the bunch, the binder and the filler that goes with that wrapper. So Abe does it a little differently. He goes inside out. He's creating filler, binder, and then he's looking for the wrapper for that cigar.
That is different.
It is different.
Yeah.
It's really different. And maybe that's why some Christoph and some of the other other companies have come to us to do cigars, because this is innovative. It's different. It's something that's unique to PDR. And I think, I don't think this was something that was old Cuban tradition. I think this is something that Abe has just kind of created on his own. And it set us apart. That's kind of a culmination of that cigar, is he had the binder, the filler, and he was looking for certain wrappers in the Habano. And what we do is, even though we're a Dominican company and we do 75-80% of our tobacco is Dominican, we do play with some other stuff.
Yes. It sounds like a pig is feeding through her headset. That's what's distressing.
Is everything all right there, Will? Well, it
I saw you smiling.
Paul and I made eye contact and then launched it immediately.
Well, you all right over there?
Yeah, it's a long story.
Oh, okay.
Well, let's hear it. Give us a quick. What do you?
No, Glenn Loop just called me like in the middle of the segment. That's all.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
It was just some weird noises. Anyway, so Robbie, what does PDR Cigars have coming out next? What are you guys thinking about? Everyone loves that question.
Yeah, I know. It's
a love-hate relationship with that
I
question.
heard Eddie
really.
Ortega say one time when he brought out what was his Series D. As soon as he started doing events for the Series D, people came up and said, "Well, what do you got coming new?" He's like, "No, this is new.
Right.
This
This
is
it.
And this
Yeah.
is what we got." So we did a couple line extensions for the show this year. We did a trade show. We did our 10th anniversary, which Will is smoking right now. We did a Figurado in that cigar. We have our Grand Reserva, which is our 2006 Corojo. We did a new full line in that with a different wrapper, which is our Habano Sun-Grown. And we did this Connecticut Valley Reserve. We are talking about something else coming on the horizon. The price point of it is going to be somewhere between an 1878 and a Series Privada. That's what I can tell you.
Cool.
So about $10.
Somewhere in the mid-8s to high 9s.
Okay, it's a good price point.
So yeah, somewhere where we want to be.
Yep.
You ready for the 5 questions?
Yeah, I'm ready. Is this like wham bam, the 5 quick questions?
This is like the five quick questions.
Okay,
So
good.
you haven't listened to, you don't know what the questions are. We're going in this like totally blind. So 3 words to describe yourself.
Tenacious, driven, and wacky. I'll go
If
wacky.
you were a serial killer, what would be your weapon of choice?
Banana.
Interesting.
If you'd write a book about yourself, what would the title be?
Never give up.
In the popular game of Ask Grabby Grabby, do you prefer to go first or second?
Always first.
Choose 2 celebrities to be your parents.
Oh, that's a good one.
That's the toughest. I think that's the toughest question.
One.
Yeah,
that is a tough
Most
one.
people get the dad. They're like, dad.
I'm going to go.
But
with,
like mom, you start thinking like, like who am I attracted to? Like who's hot?
yeah, but then
like,
you don't want that.
And then you're like, wow, it's got to be my mom. Crap, I need to like not think that.
Yeah.
And like guys like can't
separate.
Yeah,
Yeah.
can't. Yeah,
So
it's
most people say I look like a cross between James Gandolfini and B. Arthur. So I'm going to go with that.
tough. There you go. There you go. That's fair
I didn't pick up on the subtle. That would not be my choice.
I get that a lot, though. So I'm like,
That's good. All right. So with that, we're going to take a very short break. We're going to come back. We're going to bring Glenn Loop on the show. Have a quick chat with him. Then we're going to do Deb and Her Ideal. We're going to talk about our Stogies for the week. So hang with us. You're going to hang for the whole show. You're here for the long haul,
I'm
right?
here for the long haul.
Excellent. So we're going to take a short break. Come back. So stay tuned. Don't go anywhere. Stogie Geeks. Less commercials than the NFL.
You guys going over next door to watch it?
No, we'll probably be done at 11. Is it still going to be on at 11?
I'll be winding down.
You'll be winding down.
Start at 8:30.
Well,
so
it's
it'd be-
it's
going
going
to
to
be
be
52-0
It's
and
gonna.
11.
I was going to say it's going to be done in about 5 minutes. It's
I think two more touchdowns, and we're good.
That's right.
yeah. What, is it still 7-0? Pittsburgh trying to drive from their own 5.
I have 22 texts right now, so I'm not going to decipher through
Yeah,
that.
it was 0-0 at the end of the first quarter, and then Brady had a 16-yard pass to Gronk to put them up 7-0.
Oh, shocker!
It's still 7-0.
Gotcha.
8 minutes left in the second quarter.
I do say this, Paul. If you would have asked me before the suspension, I would have said, you win 4 Super Bowls. You just won one.